Welcome to the digital after party for Grand Park, the Music Center's 4th of July block party, home edition. For the next 2 hours, Grand Park brings arts, culture, and community right to your doorstep as we celebrate some of Los Angeles County's finest musicians, visual artists, chefs, and more. So kick back and relax because it's time to enjoy our block party. Let's celebrate in Grand Park style. Grand Park celebrates the cultural movement of this next collective who uses music to uplift their art and activism. Check out Cumbiaton.
Cumbiaton started back in 2017, and it was right after Trump got elected. So a lot of us come from, whether it's immigrant rights, labor rights, background in organizing. And we needed to find a space where we can hold space for one another, right? Because I think at that time there was a lot of, and rightfully so, there was a lot of fearfulness, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of frustration, and some folks were also scared, right? So we wanted to create a space where our community organizing space could come together, and just kind of refuel that energy that we put out into the world so much. And little by little, it started evolving. It started off with 2 people, myself and my homegirl, Normsa Oaxaqueña, who's also the co-founder. And then slowly but surely, we started growing this little tiny but mighty artist collective, which includes Funky Caramelo, our other resident DJ, Paolo, who's our resident photographer, Julio Salgado, who is our illustrator, Normsa Oaxaqueña, who is our production manager, and myself, DJ Sizzle Fantastic, who is another resident DJ and the co-founder as well. And, we started building this little family of amazing artists who also happen to be undocumented.
The fact that we're undocumented, right? Folks are always portrayed in a certain manner. If you're undocumented, you're automatically titled, oh, you should be scared, you shouldn't be up at the forefront, be invisible. And I think for a lot of our lives, we were brought up in that way because of many reasons, right? And we came to an enlightenment or to an awakening of realizing that being invisible was no longer a choice for us. Cumbiaton is like not only being visible, but also being able to take up the spaces that for the longest time did not belong to us.
Graciela Lopez and Cecile Vasquez, better known as DJ Funky Caramelo and DJ Sizzle Fantastic, saw a need for communal expression in light of rising xenophobia and racism.
Cumbiaton was actually born out of the need to protest against these systems of oppression that, impact whether it's undocumented communities, whether it's queer communities, whether it's POC communities, right? Any and all marginalized oppressed hood communities, right? Cumbiaton is the birth of that, right? Is the resistance of that, is our way of protesting against these systems that tell us that we are not worthy of love, we are not worthy of joy, we are not worthy of happiness, of dancing, of healing, right? So Cumbiaton, in essence, is itself a protest. But further, we're also a space where, we have our audience, our following, right, become aware of these injustices and become politicized, right? As I was mentioning earlier before, we do come from an organizing background. And as organizers, you see a pool of people, right? And it would be, like for us, we see this pool of people and we're like, this is a point where we can also activate, right, some sort of political movement, right? And whether it's displaying on our billboards, or like rather on our screens, right, denouncing any and all xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Blackness, right? We're having these conversations with people right there at the club, right? Where sometimes you might not think you can have these conversations there. You cannot politicize, your different audience there, but we take any and all opportunity to also do our part in uplifting the messages of our communities, right? Because we know at the end of the day, we are not all free until, all of us are free, right? And this means any people in detention centers, any people in jail, any Black folks fighting against white supremacy, right? We are actively, and we will continue to fight for, just our collective liberation. Boyle Heights was the birthplace of Cumbiaton. Having been brought up in Boyle Heights, there's a lot of rich culture here. And I'm talking culture in like resistance, I'm talking culture in movement, I'm talking culture working class, right? There's just so much beauty here in our community. However, when we first started Cumbiaton, we also noticed that there's not a lot of spaces where folks could come and release and enjoy music here in the neighborhood, right? Like we would have to go out to downtown LA, we would have to go out to West Hollywood, we would have to go out to different areas of the city, when in reality, all of that Cumbiaton all of Cumbiaton encompasses is right here in Boyle Heights.
As it pertains to the current protests, like we are definitely supportive of the protest, 1,000%. We do acknowledge that our liberation as Latinx people, it's also tied to the liberation of Black folks. So we definitely we support the protest. We've actually have been at the protest, and not just recently. Like this is work that we've been doing, for years now, right? And as accomplices, not just allies, our goal is just to also uplift the message of the Black community and also educate our folks. Like there's a lot of anti-Blackness within the Latinx community. Has been the intentional erasure of Afro-Latinx folks within our community. Even cumbia, even reggaeton, salsa, merengue, all the genres that we love, have an origin of, of Blackness. And folks, for whatever reason, have either chosen to ignore that, or completely dismiss it. So we, essentially, Cumbiaton wouldn't even be possible without the creation, of music by Black folks. So it is our duty to step up and, support our Black brothers and sisters in whatever way we can.
Next up, we have a Filipino, Mexican, and Native American visual artist who represents San Gabriel Valley. His art has made its way to the Smithsonian National Museum of African American Art and Culture, and he's sharing his inspirations with us.
My name is Patrick Martinez. I'm a Los Angeles-based artist. The piece behind me is an updated Peachy folder. The traditional Peachy folders that people are used to are kind of idealized American high school scenes of scholastic sports, kids playing football, baseball, running track, all these kinds of situations teens are in. The folder originally was made in the 1950s, so it's something that I grew up with. It was something that we put our homework in, put in our back pocket or in our backpack. We drew on them. We wrote people's phone numbers down. I did graffiti on them because I was a graffiti writer, an artist. So they were just kind of like this nostalgic high school, middle school item. And it's a piece of Americana, I think, subtle piece of Americana.
Mixed media artist Patrick Martinez doesn't pull any punches when it comes to his work representing his life, background, and the tension of the protests in LA.
So when I was updating this folder, I've done so many paintings and drawings of like updated folders, or this peachy kind of idea of updating the scenes. For this piece, I wanted to use a traditional kind of color motif that the peachy folder is known for. The reason it's called peachy is because of the peachy color that the folders were, originated. It was kind of like this. More for me, it's more yellow, but for them it was an orange kind of peachy color. So I took that as a foundation, and then I switched and updated the scenes. So I started the project in 2005, and I drew kind of more generic scenes: cop chasing the kid, kid getting harassed on a cop car, stuff like that, scenes like that. And I was always interested in that idea of youth and authority. So that's kind of where it stemmed from. And I saw it in high school. My brother went through, just stuff that you would see, but you wouldn't, capture it on cell phone, capture it on, camera phone. So a lot of these images, fast forward 2015, 14, we're now seeing the portraits of the people that have been, really modern day lynched. And some of them are very young. A lot of the scenes are connected. I'm doing a drawing right now where, the front of the peachy folder, original peachy folder is kids running, white kids running. So I'm thinking about Ahmaud Arbery and, things like that. And then even like Eric Gardner, the detective that was harassing him and brutalizing him, I painted in 2015 because he had a football jersey on. So it reminded me of these scenes. So I wanted to update these scenes for America and place them back into the American, the society or even high school. So I actually printed these folders and distributed them out to high schools and colleges and things like that to give them an updated version of this.
Patrick is centering people of color in the not-so-typical form of cake portraits.
The cakes that I produce in paint, they're all made out of paint, and they're more of a celebratory angle to highlight people that are known, that are unknown, that people that we need to know, people that need to be painted into importance. So I feel like a painting cements someone into, cements their image into, kind of like importance. When you paint someone, they're like, who is that? Why? Why are you painting him? Why are you painting her? So the cake is something that I wanted to do because I'm always interested in painting portraits. Something I like doing, but I wanted to do it in a new way, and I needed a new kind of framework. So the cake kind of goes back to the community aesthetic. It's something, the sheet cake with the image printed on top that's edible is where I get the inspiration from.
Hi, my name is Cameron Liu. I make music under the name Ginger Roots, and I'm from Orange County, California.
Grand Park continues to spotlight LA talent as we get to know the musical inspirations of Ginger Roots frontman, Cameron Liu.
So my background, by day, I'm a freelance video editor and multimedia artist, and by night, I make music under the name Ginger. As far as music goes, I started when I was 10 years old. Around that time, my parents got me a guitar for Christmas, not because I asked for it, but because they're like, here's something to do. And I was like, great. And so I learned guitar through like the instructional DVD it came with. And then I started taking lessons because I really enjoyed it. And then in high school, we had a program that I can only describe as basically like School of Rock, which was really cool. So there we learned how to like perform in front of people. I learned other instruments like bass and drums and keyboards. And that program also taught me how to write and produce and record my own music, like in the computer and learning about technology and recording techniques. So that kind of gave me the foundation to do what I do now. With my music, as far as influences go, I try to combine contemporaries like Tori, Moi, Wolfpack, and J-Som, and also taking from the days of Motown and Stax and Philly Soul too, but also combining international acts like the Japanese city pop from 1980s. That's like a huge influence on me too. I started playing in other bands, cover bands, wedding bands, kind of terrible, and then started playing my own music under the name Ginger around 2017, and since then that's the project I continue to do today.
Although COVID-19 cut Ginger Root's 2020 tour short, they are optimistic about what's to come.
My initial encounter, with the pandemic, actually, we were on tour, and so we had to cancel our tour short and just try to make it home safely. So that was kind of my introduction to COVID and everything. So it was definitely very, very hard, very fast, and like a lot of other people trying to get home and everything. But I mean, during this time, just been trying to actually take this time to write new music and experiment with music a little bit more.
Artists have found themselves at an intersection of creative expression and innovation, and Ginger Root is embracing that their voices are essential, especially during this time of transition.
With art, and I think as a whole, art kind of spills into also societal issues or societal feelings, and I think the fact that everyone had to figure out how to go digital with their art, I think is kind of the turning point, and in the terms of also having to go digital in terms of interaction, having to go digital in forms of education, in forms of communication. I think everyone realized that, it's very fortunate that, we have the technology to stay in touch. We have the technology to put out art and still have a viewership of that art and be connected to art in that way. It's still not the same as live music. It's still not the same as going to a museum and being awestruck by a painting, when it's right there in front of you. But, it's what we have to do. It's what we had to adapt to. And so I think this year will definitely be marked as kind of a very digital year, because out of necessity. My LA is here. It's wherever I am. LA finds me no matter where I am.
We are Ginger Root, and we're here to play some music for you guys. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the music. song's called Before, and it starts with that.
Show the
Grand Park, the Music Center's 4th of July block party, shines a light on exceptional LA talent who showcase their artistic freedom in special ways, including youth equestrian and poet Zoe Brogdon, performing her original poem, Melanin.
Melanin. Is it scary?
To me, the dark is beauty and acceptance. But to the world, simply put, it's terrifying. Why am I a threat? Is it because my skin, my grace, my culture holds more power than the whip you crack over our backs as you tell us to build you the world? Why are you kneeling on our necks? Is it because if we breathe, our toxic words will infect your soul and show you the truth? I can't breathe. My throat is closing. My body is limp. But you don't care. All because my skin is the same color as the thing you were afraid of as a child. The dark.
We are celebrating 4th of July during the season of social distancing. But Grand Park can still rock out, jam, and show you why the 4th of July block party is the ultimate celebration for Independence Day, especially when we can all be together again. Check us out. Our 4th of July block party keeps moving with D-Smoke, Shepherd Ferry, and more. This is the Grand Park, the Music Center's 4th of July block party. We are keeping the celebration going with Sergio Mielnitsenko and Thalma de Freitas, who are two Brazilian natives currently residing in Los Angeles. Sergio is a noted lecturer and music show host, while Thalma is a talented actress, singer, and writer. Sergio and Thalma share their thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement, COVID-19, and living in the City of Angels.
I understand, for example, what's going on in the United States right now, like George Floyd being, the trigger point, the tipping point. And then suddenly, like even institutions that never really addressed, the act of racism, which is also, like, to talk about racism, it is to talk about oppression, right? To keep people, at bay? Like keep people down and keep people in control and like keep mesmerizing people to believe in the dream, using media, using, subliminal methods, dark psychology, the whole mess, misinformation, the whole mess. I was telling this my friend yesterday. Our constitution in Brazil doesn't start with we. There is no we the people for us. We have a set of rules that everybody has to follow, to keep, the nation, blah, blah, blah. And then the nation say, we're gonna make sure that you guys will be okay. But it's basically in a structure where the slave owner makes sure that the slaves are healthy enough to do the work, to make profit. I'm not trying to assume it's impossible. It's not that, but it's just, how do we really can start talking about freedom when we have all those huge mountains to get our faith and, you know, get a shovel and move them place, because that's what faith does. Faith helps you get the shovel and move the mountain from one place to another. There is this first, then we can start talking about freedom.
Historically, music has been the propeller of movements. You think of the civil rights movement in the United States, the apartheid in South Africa. Music is an engine, you know, because it's one of the main elements of our culture. Since I was a kid in Brazil, Black Lives Matter to me. Nobody had to tell me that, because I was raised with the culture, Black culture around us, you know, Black friends, people raising us, educating us, telling us stories, singing songs. Black Lives Matter, we see this all over, painted on the walls, in front of stores, it's all over the world. It's a movement. When you say something matters, you really have to feel it and understand what it is. You know, why would I say that? Because you have to have some sort of love for what it is. You have to understand the history. You have to do something real in order to make a change. Why does it matter? Matter because the contribution and the humanity of it.
Our next performer is a singer-songwriter who is known for her powerful performances. She mixes punk and Latin flavor into her music and celebrates what it means to be a queer Latinx woman. Here's Sancha.
My parents are both Mexicans from the same rural town in Jalisco. When they got to the U.S., they were undocumented, and my dad came here at 16. My mom didn't come until they were married at 23, but I was the firstborn, so I didn't even speak English until I started school and was like put in ESL and like almost treated like I had a learning disability in ways, or like I was slow and, you know, reprimanded for not knowing what was going on a lot of the time. And I also grew up in like a public school system. So with a lot of other people who were also from undocumented families and immigrant families and things like that.
Through her early years in the Bay Area, Sancha sang in the church choir. Now, this singer-songwriter infuses the traditionally Mexican music genre, rancheras, into her sound.
You know, when I was living in San Francisco and when I first came to LA, I was performing at a lot of like artsy punk events. And so I used to perform in a lot of drag events. So a lot of my music has the element of punk. LA has shaped my art and my identity in ways that I didn't expect. When I got here about 5 years ago, I started meeting a lot of my friends' families, and that really inspired me to keep that connection with my family and kind of my lineage and my ancestors, and make work that also involved them and also was for them, because I spent a long time running away from my family and my traditions and all. My LA has been working class, brown, creative, and queer. Being queer and Latinx is a little alienating. You feel different from everybody around you in ways, but you also want to be connected with your family. And there's times where you have to just completely leave and abandon them for them to understand that what you are isn't something that you can change. I was on Vida. I'm in episode, 5? Season 2? Yeah, I think. Something like that. It was, beautiful, like the way that they do the queer and the Latinx, and also kind of like being Latinx and kind of a gentrifier, but you're from the hood, is very interesting and like polarizing perspectives that all sometimes kind of go together. All those things like especially being a queer person, thinking that they're judging me and all the time. But this helped me at least have conversations where they don't just end in "I'm not going to talk to you anymore," where they're like, okay, I could see where you're coming from and why you have these opinions, but also this is me and you're going to accept me and you're also going to love me, and my art is going to bring us together in these ways. And I've gotten to the point where I'm singing songs that they understand, songs and writing songs that they understand, and stories that they would love to see. This 4th of July this year is just a lot of rage, and a lot of anger, and a lot of taking the veil off of freedom. Like, we're not all free. This country reserves that freedom for a select few people. I would like for everyone to take care of their mental health, whatever that means. If it means taking breaks from social media, from, TV, from things like that. It's important to take care of yourself first.
Park shines a light on legendary actor and LA native Danny Trejo as he reveals his impressive journey as an artist in Angelina.
My name is Danny Trejo. I'm from all of Los Angeles. Been all over this place. Love it. I grew up here. I was born in LA, raised, and hit the street, ran the streets. I've been every street in Los Angeles, I think. I've eaten at every taco joint. There it is. Late at night, 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. So the culture of Los Angeles, the way it's changed, I think that more people are actually realizing that we can do anything. You know, we don't no longer have to just be inmate number one or the mean Chicano dude. You know, we can work in this business any way we want.
Even though he spent some time behind bars in his early days, Danny naturally found his way to the big screen and transformed his life.
Well, I had no ambition to be an actor, really. I kind of grew up on the streets through the Department of Corrections, and I came out and I dedicated my life to helping other people in my community. And by chance, I was trying to be an extra, you know, working for $50 a movie. I became a drug counselor, and one of the kids I was working with got me interested in being an extra, because it was just an extra $50. You just hang around and the easy 50. I love the 4th of July. It's the fact that you all men created equal. We're all here. We better all learn how to get along, because if we keep going the way we're going, we ain't got long on this earth. My LA is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I've been all over the world thanks to my career, and boy, I'll tell you, there's no place like home. And once you live in this city, you love it.
Grand Park continues to showcase creativity with an Irish photographer and filmmaker who has made a major name for himself in LA, taking photos for hip-hop greats like Q-Tip, RZA, and Warren G. Check out Brian Cross, otherwise known as B+.
My name is Brian Cross, also known as B+, and I'm a photographer, a filmmaker, and a professor at the University of California, San Diego. The gift of what it is that we do is that, there's the people that actually do the work, and then there's the people that put the people together to make the work. And photography or filmmaking, is one of those things that the beauty of that piece of technology is it puts people that you would never expect to be in the same room. And I don't know, when I figured that out, everything got a lot more fun, let's just say, you know what I mean? The difficult part to explain to people that I found very hard was to make people actually understand, how much of an impact the policed body has in the music. It's very difficult to explain to people. I grew up in Ireland, okay? There was a war, which most of the world knows about, that happened in Ireland in between the mid-60s to the mid-80s, where there was bombs, where there was torture, where there was all kinds of hunger strikes, But our police didn't carry guns. So when somebody said stop in the name of the law, it gave you pause. Even if you had done something wrong and you should have kept running, you would pause. We were enculturated to think, no, that's a Garda, which is the Garda Síochána, protector of the peace. And if he's asking you to do something, you should take it seriously. Of course, we didn't always do that, but the point being was, it wasn't, my life is in danger. So to counter that, we have these other kinds of bodies. We have the protesting bodies. And it's extraordinary, man. The amount of young photographers that have, it's amazing. It's amazing the work that's being done. It's amazing. Look, we're in a different moment. I'll give you an example. This clown put a fence around the White House, and these people turned it into artwork in 3 days. So it's completely covered in messages about how Black Lives Matter, and narratives about police abuse, and flowers, and colors. And it's a new day.
Check out more with Amindi.
Say a prayer, young God, you're in exile. Walking in the grocery store in the exile. Check it off your checklist. You need real breakfast, at least that's what your dad says. In your finest linens and your textiles, contemplating texting your ex while you'll regret this. You're a mess, it's fine. At least that's what your dad says. And your dad ain't ever lied, and he always tells the truth. So you keep him by your side, and he keeps your food and roof. He supports your hopes and dreams like a dad is supposed to do. And you wanna do big things, he supports those big things too. On your face got that, just got that check smile. On your neck got that give me respect style. I don't blame ya, it's a game you play, then you know all the rules. You a Libra, got scales like a reptile. Keep a balance and balance for 10 miles, and maintain the name, you stay the same, and you know all the rules. Say a prayer, young God, you're in exile. Walking in the grocery store in the exile. Check it off your checklist, you need breakfast, at least that's what your dad says. In your finest linens and your textiles, contemplating texting your ex while you'll regret this. You're a mess, it's fine, at least that's what your dad says. 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 Misguided by the light you follow, but you lit it yourself in your head and your mind is hollow. You don't need no one else. Who you living for? How about you play by your own rules? Make some art and download some Pro Tools. And your dad says what happens when he dies, and you still doing what your dad says. And your dad ain't ever lied, and he always tells the truth. So you keep him by your side, and he keeps your food and roof. He supports your hopes and dreams like a dad is supposed to do. And you wanna do big things, he supports those big things too. On your face got that, just got that check smile. On your neck got that give me respect style. I don't blame ya, it's a game you play, then you know all the rules. You a Libra, got scales like a reptile. Keep a balance and balance for 10 miles, and maintain the name, you stay the same, and you know all the rules. 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 The rules. Thank you. That song was called Exile. My name is Amindi. This is Jay on guitar and Fern Tree on drums. Thank you, Grand Park, for having me. I'm very excited to sing for you guys, not in general, but also in general. Okay, the second song is called Wet Jeans. Walking, and we keep walking, and we keep walking. Where do we go? About to get heavy, real heavy, like wet jeans. We all have our own set dreams. Nobody knows what the heck we mean whenever we speak. Heavy, real heavy, like wet jeans. We all have our own set dreams. Nobody knows what the heck we mean whenever we speak, so we keep talking, and we keep talking, and we keep talking, but we talk too low, so they still don't know, and we keep walking, and we keep walking, and we keep walking, but we walk too slow, so where do we go? You said you're ready, real ready, so let me show you why I would be the best thing you'd ever have, so just text me. We don't need to speak. Ready, real ready, so let me show you why I would be the best thing you'd ever have, so just text me. We don't need to speak. Yeah, you keep talking, and you keep talking, and you keep talking, but it's all for show. Thank you. That was Wet Jeans.
Since 2013, Grand Park has delivered memorable 4th of July block parties for the LA community. Our commitment to integrity, compassion, and generous collaboration is evident in all we do. But we can show you better than we can tell you. Take a look. Our 4th of July block party keeps moving with D-Smoke, Shepherd Ferry, and more. The after party for Grand Park, the Music Center's 4th of July block party home edition, continues with an LA soul artist who mixes eclectic rhythms to create her signature sound. Here's Amindi.
My name is Amindi, and I am a singer-songwriter. My style is an amalgamation of a bunch of all my influences. So I really love rap music. I really love alternative rock music. I really love reggae music and dancehall. I've always loved to write. I've always loved listening to music. So it was just the natural thing for me to do. I always say Santi Gold is my biggest influence because when I was in 4th grade, I discovered her, and she was the first alternative black girl that I was exposed to, and I was like, she's awesome, this is it, this is what I want to do, and so I love Santi Gold. And And I love Barris Hammond, who's like a old-timey, he's like a classic reggae artist. I think protests are a necessary response to years of being not only ignored, because I feel like that's such a small word for what's happening, it's just like blatant disrespect and disregard for human life, Black human life. And so I feel like protests are definitely a valid and necessary response to that. So Scotty Beam by Freddie Gibbs is like one of my favorite songs right now. He just put out a project called Alfredo, and in it, he has a line that says, "My execution might be televised," which a lot of protesters have been like putting on their like signs and stuff when they're out protesting. And he put that out like, I'm pretty sure the song was recorded before the protests happened, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like that type of stuff. Just like the alignment of like everything, like good music coming out during a time where like we need like the healing power of music, just lined up pretty well. My name is Amindi, and my LA is gold chains and bamboo earrings and palm trees in South Central.
Shawty, you been sleep, shawty, rest up. Admit you feeling me, shawty, fess up. Your homie's trying to tell you that you messed up, and I'm still screaming, hell yeah, shawty, bless up. Bless up with the cross around your neck and the polo cap, and I'm still wrapped around your neck. Take a photo that you won't post anywhere. It's for the memories, your friends all for it. Now I'm on the chorus and I'm like, you're the reason that I'm breathing, needing you always. Don't need me like I need you, needing you always. The reason that I'm breathing, needing you always. Don't need me like I need you, needing you always. With the cross around your neck and the polo cap, and I'm still wrapped around your neck. Take a photo that you won't post anywhere. It's for the memories, your friends all for it, but I'm unimportant. I'm all breaks, you're flooring. Guess I'm too boring. Now I'm on the chorus, and I'm like, why don't you need me the way I need you? Why don't you believe that this thing is true? It's true. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. This next song is called Lucille Balls. Don't feel bad at all, but all those girls girls you gave your number to are never gonna call. And you can get as low as to the windows, to the walls, but you will never be the Ricky to these Lucille Balls. Lucille Balls. Lucille Balls. Balls. Lucille Balls. You could be as hot as Mojave or as hot as wasabi. We could catch a flight from LA to Abu Dhabi. We could watch a movie, tell my dad that you gon' watch me, but you'll just look straight, too scared to look right at me. Probably I know your type, I'm familiar, a little butterfly trapped as a shy caterpillar, but that'll all change soon once you break your cocoon. But until you do, you can love me like the moon loves the sun. That phrase is overdone, like tell me that I'm your only one, baby, and I love you like crazy. But if you're into the cliches, then it's okay, it doesn't faze me. And don't feel bad, don't feel bad at all. But all those girls you gave your number to are never gonna call. And you can be as low as to the windows, to the walls, but you will never be the Ricky to these Lucille Balls. Lucille Balls. Lucille Balls. Balls. Lucille Balls. Awesome. That was Lucille Balls. Thank you.
Grand Park shares its love of equity, diversity, and inclusion in celebrating the history and tradition of the Chinese American Museum, the first museum in Southern California dedicated to the Chinese American experience.
My name's Gay Yuan, and I'm the president of the board of the Chinese American Museum.
Gay Yuan has been an educator for the last 50 years and focuses on sharing the history of Chinese Americans.
You're at the Chinese American Museum in Los Angeles. We're located right across the street from Union Station. And very often people say, well, why is the Chinese American Museum not in Chinatown? And our answer is, we are in Chinatown, because where we're located is actually where the first Chinatown was. But it wasn't exactly Chinatown. It was a place where the Chinese people lived, conducted their business. It was their social network system. And their neighbors were poor Italians, poor Mexicans, Native Americans, French immigrants. And this was basically the wrong side of town, where all the disenfranchised ethnic groups were able to scrape out a subsistence. And so everyone lived, with everybody else. And this was the original Chinatown. The mission is not only to teach the generations of Chinese in America, but also to tell the story of the Chinese American history from the 1850s onward to everyone else. And the fact that We've been here for a long time. We're Americans. And we ain't going anywhere, right? We ain't going anywhere.
Gay believes that prioritizing blame and prejudice over science and reason during a pandemic will only hurt our collective society.
It's important to call it for what it is, and it's the COVID-19 virus. For the people fanning the fires and wanting to point blame, then we hear it called the Chinese virus, the China virus, the Asian virus. And all that does is, instead of focusing on how we take care of each other and how can we shorten the lifespan of this pandemic so we can go back to our normal lives, we end up creating an environment where once again, Asians must go, Chinese must go. You look at all these Karens who are calling the police because they're seeing white people, they're seeing black people, Filipino people, anyone that has skin color doing something that they feel is wrong, quote unquote. And then they jump on and start blaming. And COVID is very much like that. Just because I'm Chinese doesn't mean that I'm any more contagious than you are. And it also means I'm not any more susceptible than you are. And we just need to learn to be rational and scientific and smart about these things. Because pointing fingers when it's a virus doesn't help us, doesn't help our society.
So my name is Paula Madison. My Chinese name is Lo Xiaona. I am the granddaughter of a Hakka Chinese businessman who left Shenzhen, China, a small village contained within Shenzhen called Lo Xihap in 1905.
Paula has a unique vantage point on history and identity, coming from Jamaican and Hakka Chinese heritage.
I'm the first vice president of the Chinese American Museum of Los Angeles. And I think that in certain sections of the US, among certain organizations, I'm known as that Black Chinese woman. So when you take a look at the numbers were as high as 50,000 protesters in the streets in support of Black Lives Matter. Protesters demanding that police stop killing unarmed Black men, Black people, that police and institutions understand that there has always been disparate treatment. Just as people who hail from Germany or Italy or France, whose families have been here 2 generations, 3 generations, I know Chinese Americans whose families have been here for 4 generations. We're Americans too. So the Constitution, on paper, applies to all of us. But in practice, it doesn't. The hope I have, and I thank God and my ancestors that I am alive today to see the changes that have been insisted upon by this generation. This generation has grown up believing they don't need cars, they don't need houses, they don't need some of the things that were held out to them as symbols of success. What they actually want is freedom. They want parity. They want people to to be treated as people. And like I said, this is probably going to be the most important Independence Day of my life so far, because I am very much looking forward to what's coming out of the conversations and the changes in law, statute, and charter that these young people today have engendered. So to them, I say thank you, because for me, I think this is going to be a magnificent July 4th.
Our next guests have served signature Southern Thai cuisine for years. Let's meet the family behind Jitlada Thai. Jazz Singsanong and her late brother, Tui Sunkame, opened their Thai restaurant in the 1970s. After decades as a neighborhood fixture, Jazz, along with her niece Sugar, are going strong.
My brother's daughter, but he turned to be my daughter. Now I'm adopt her. She's very smart, you won't believe it. She came here when she like 3.5 years old before my dad passed away. Me and my brother, we both ego. I have to say that. We both have so much ambition. And 12 kids in the house, only me and him have to go out to live with someone else.
Despite adversity and the challenges of running a business, Jazz still prioritizes cooking with care, just as her late brother did while he was head chef of Jitlada. Jitlada's flavor and loving owner have earned it a noteworthy reputation, even among the celebrity crowds of LA.
People say, Jonathan, go come, people will come. And they say, then your dream come true. And he said, the goal is in front of you. And I remember my leg like, my leg checking like this. And I run to Tui and I say, Tui, Mr. Go is here. I think he's the only one, the food critic in the world that eat the food and never take advantage. He will put the credit card on the table, but our family teach us to be appreciated. We didn't know anybody in the world, but Jonathan Go, any time that he wrote about Asian food, Jitlada is always in the paragraph that we know by heart.
Even with a star-studded customer base, there is still one celebrity Jazz hopes to meet.
Hi, Oprah, this is Jazz from Jitlada. You are my inspiration since 1979. I watched you give away the car and I never forgot my tear that night. And I wish one day you walk into Jitlada, I will crawl on the floor and I will cook everything for you.
Freedom of speech, religion, and the right to assemble are First Amendment protections under the United States Constitution. It is the bedrock of American civil liberties. Grand Park has been and will continue to be a place of peaceful protest and expression. As we have witnessed with the Black Lives Matter protests around the world, the City of Angels is lending its strong voice in the struggle for peace and justice. Angelinos are raising their voice in peaceful unison to demand reform, justice, and equality. Young people all over the country are feeling the effects of this summer season, including talented 12-year-old golfer and LA native, Aiden McDaniels.
You know, it's crazy being a young black kid in America right now with all the protesting and the rioting and the COVID, and it's truly unfortunate about what happened to George Floyd, whose life was taken. But it doesn't give people an excuse to loot, and I just hope one day that my generation could rise to a better day.
Amindi and Ginger Root return for exclusive performances. Plus, we learn about the photography of Esteban. Welcome back to Grand Park, the Music Center's 4th of July Block Party, Home Edition, where we uplift homegrown talent from Los Angeles County. Here's Inglewood-born and bred lyricist D Smoke. LA-born rapper D Smoke pays respects to Inglewood for nurturing his love of art, his artistic mission, and a love of music that connects us to the past.
I think every artist has a responsibility to speak honestly from their perspective. And it works to my advantage that Inglewood gives me both sides of the spectrum, from the streets and the gangs and, you know, coming up having to catch the bus, getting sweated on the bus stop, you know, to, you know, arts, growing up in the church, you know, learning how to play classical piano and all of that, and having my family so close in the LA area. So that experience taught me how to address the streets from a honest and conscious standpoint, you know what I'm saying? And Inglewood gave me that. It's all stories. You know, it's all stories that come from my experience in the Inglewood streets, you know, from on my Inglewood High project, Lil Red, you know. Lil Red is not just one person's story, it's so many people's story. It's a story about, you know, it talks about that transition from, you know, elementary to middle school when you start seeing people make the decision to, you know, everybody go from the funny guy to cool guy to, you know, the hood guy and the, you know, the shooter, you know. So it's just talking about how that street appeal kind of entices people. And so that was just one example, but everything that I write about is from my experience growing up in Inglewood. Like Black Habits is intentionally a project that tells older stories, and I'll go back and continue to tell those till we get to like present day Smoke, you know. And when I was graduating from Inglewood, I could have gone to any college I wanted to, right? I had like a 1300 on the SAT out of 1600, you know, and this is without taking classes and all that, and like 4.1 cumulative GPA. But I didn't want to leave LA. You know, I hadn't done that much traveling by that time, and I wasn't interested in going out to New York. Weather was nice, so I was like, we staying around this way. But I wanted to go to SC because that was the popular school at the time, and I'm submitting all my scholarship, you know, applications, and didn't get much back from them, from SC, and then UCLA gave me a full ride. So that's when I was like, okay, well, I go where I want it, you know. And then so I did that. I initially was going to study business economics, you know, thinking it would help me in the music industry. I was really going to go on campus, mind my business, get my degree, and get up out of there and keep doing music. But, you know, God had it a whole nother way. You know, I get a job, you know, working at an outreach program and just fall in love with education, mentoring, tutoring, doing shadow programs where we bring students up to the campus and show them the ropes. And then, you know, while I was doing that, I did that every year until I graduated. And when I graduated, I got a director position for this program called SHAPE. And so when I was directing SHAPE, I was, you know, collaborating with stakeholders, funders in Inglewood, city building, and the principal at Inglewood, because it was only a 2-year term, that director position. The principal at Inglewood is like, well, when you're done with this, come get a real job and teach at Inglewood. You know, and I was like, I was a little bit insulted, but at the same time, you know, Inglewood High was my alma mater. So that kind of was the bait that got me into full-time education. And once I got bit by the bug, you know, I would do 2 years of teaching, take a year off, do pure music. Because I still, you know, we were signed to Warner Chappell, writing music for other artists, in sessions with major artists and stuff. But I would still like take a year off, then go back, teach for 2. And so, but that's how I got into that. And up until Rhythm and Flow, I was still in the classroom, you know, teaching at this school called High School for Recording Arts.
Are we flying? Are we lifted? Are we soaring against the wind? Are we different? Are we rocking? Are we rolling? Are we doing it we dreamed of indulging? Are we Are we Yeah. Are we calling it like we see it? Applauded our own achievements, applauded by enemies and made fans of our disbelievers. Damn, I'm a different breed. Lift my hands and extend my reach. Kiss my grandma and bend my knees. Thank the Lord for the gift of peace. I'm just getting started though. One day I'll be where the dilly departed go. We all got that appointment with the man upstairs. I'm just trying to shed these layers like an artichoke. Meanwhile, I dodged the horrors of my horoscope. Made it dope, made it honest. Studied like Urkel, kept my little Owens low. The wind blows in my direction, I follow well and spread my wings. And move on to better things it brings. Are we flying? Are we lifting? Are we soaring against the wind? Are we different? Are we rocking? Are we rolling? Are we doing this we dreamed of indulging? Yeah. Are we Are we yeah. Verse 2. Are we a million miles ahead in our leg of the relay? Are we doing this that when we finish they gon' replay? Are we really winning like $1 million on sweepstakes? Only Inglewood and word on wheels, no cheapskate beefsteak. Digested with ease, hate confessed it with these talents, no kleptocracy. Bite off my sandwich indeed. I got an appetite for the afterlife. That's why I search for heaven every time I grab the mic. Savage like a wild pack of coyotes, it's bad advice. If they told you to challenge this, ain't no slack in my Mac and I never let off the pedal, I'm dragon fire. And I'm here to be that on my life. Are we flying? Are we lifted? Are we soaring against the wind? Are we different? Are we rocking? Are we rolling? Are we doing this shit we dreamed of indulging? Are we Are we Verse 3. Yo me siento que ahora es el tiempo. Ignoro lo negativo, escucho la voz adentro. Mis padres son orgullosos, no porque hablo loco, solo porque su hijo da diamantes en trozos. So I remember when I didn't have it all, putting clothes on layaway and shopping malls. Now I eat on publishing and tour days, cause I started grinding till the goods came. I wake up every day next to the girl of my dreams. You only need one woman when you got you a queen, and she got her own, don't need no shopping sprees. When we converse, we talk about buying properties. Gold getters, yeah, we all winners, whole crew. Gold diggers, what we said, no, we gon' do. We be making waves until we cease it. Looking around like, bro, can you believe it? And we really flying. Are we lifted? Are we soaring against the wind? Are we different? Are we rocking? Are we rolling? Are we doing the shit we dreamed of indulging? Are we on?
I'm Shepard Ferry. I live in Los Feliz. My studio is in Echo Park, and I'm an artist, graphic designer, and activist.
Art and activism go hand in hand for our next visual artist who unapologetically uses his craft to honor the community. Check out Shepard Ferry.
I got started as an artist, I guess, like a lot of people, just drawing when I was a little kid and enjoying translating what I was looking at, whether it was a photo or a still life, into something that looked like that when I was young. And, just improving technically was exciting for me. But then I got into skateboarding and punk rock when I was 14, and that kind of opened my eyes to different ways to use art, using art to make statements and using non-traditional techniques like screen printing and stencil making. And eventually the idea of putting work in the public space where the public lives, it's not intimidating, that is, not forcing them to go to a gallery or a museum, that became really important to me, because I thought that art is such a beautiful way to create conversations and enrich people's lives and, in some, maybe antagonize them in some ways, but get the juices flowing. And, you know, the street was such an important way for me to do that. I followed the model of musicians like Bob Marley, Public Enemy, The Clash, and Rage Against the Machine, Patti Smith, Bikini Kill, people who used their art to say something. And I wanted to do that, and the best place I thought to do that was a democratic zone like the street, the way that music was democratic over the airwaves. There've been tons of LA artists that inspired me, but the first one was Robbie Canal, who is a really amazing poster artist who does political posters. Back in the 80s, I saw one of his posters when I was on a field trip from art boarding school in Idlewild. And it was a political poster of Ronald Reagan, and it said Contra above and Diction below. His art was really one of the things that made me want to do art that made political and social statements and do work on the street. Ed Ruscha is from LA. Barbara Kruger lives in LA. Graffiti artists like Revoke and Saber, who did really beautiful lettering and hugely, impressive scale and daring acts. They were big inspirations for me. John Van Hammersfeld, who did the Endless Summer surf movie poster, and the Pinnacle Jimi Hendrix iconic poster, the Fatburger logo. There's so many great LA artists, and I'm constantly discovering new ones.
Like his inspirations and his work, Shepard sought to use his talent toward inspiring civic duty and encouraging others to use their voices to enact the change they want to see, even in the form of protests that have recently arisen nationwide.
What's been going on in LA with the protests has been really inspiring to me, because I've been making artwork about police abuse of power and racial injustice for actually almost 30 years. So I often feel that there's not enough allies, there's not enough pushback against injustice, even though there are a lot of great people out there. But we've seen a critical mass over the last few weeks that's been so inspiring, and it's been culturally, racially, economically diverse. And I really think the mandate for change is something we're witnessing. We're witnessing history happen, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Grand Park is all about catching the 4th of July vibe, just like this LA DJ collective, 143.
My name is Samantha Duenas. I DJ and sing under the name So Super Sam. I'm from Los Angeles, born and raised, and currently residing.
My name is Cody DeBacker. I'm one of the co-founders of 143. I DJ under the name Party Time, and I was born in Bakersfield, but I've been in LA now for 18 years. 143 is a R&B party. It was started in Los Angeles 8 years ago. We founded it to bring the love of love songs to the public. 143 stands for I Love You, and it was started by Sam, myself, and another partner.
Samantha and Cody, aka DJ So Super Sam and DJ Party Time, was created out of sheer love and appreciation of classic 90s music.
Well, the name is 143, and it is an homage to when I was growing up in LA with pagers, and we would make mixtapes on cassette tapes for our boo and our crush, and we would page them 143. And so something that I'm really proud of is our sound direction spans, anything from the golden era of of R&B, and we like to bridge it all the way back in time to any love song that we grew up listening to.
143 loves creating connections through the power of music.
What makes 143 so special is it's not like just two people showing up, right? It's a group of individuals. Oftentimes we'll see these groups grow month over month. So it'll start with like 3 people, and then that group of 3 people will grow to like 20. And they'll all come together, and they make it almost like a habit every month, a must do for their group of friends to be together. We were a party who made sure that everyone ate. We weren't just trying to fill our pockets. We were trying to take care of our family and our 143 Sound System Collective of DJs and the folks that are helping us put on the party. The little money we had, I tried to give it all to Black Lives Matter, and do everything we can to help financially.
Samantha and Cody reflect on what 4th of July means to them and changes they hope to see during this time.
4th of July is all food. Like, it's just a... When I think about 4th of July, I'm thinking about ribs. I am thinking about corn on the cob. I am thinking about watermelon and like really crispy cold fruit. So it's a day for me to eat and celebrate eating and delicious food, and that we get to enjoy delicious food. That'll last me.
Here's more with Amindi.
This next song is called Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. Awaiting a reply. You gon' be waiting for a while, 'cause I'm still waiting for my nails to dry. Trip over a guy who not I, that's really not my style. Nah, I'm too fly. I tried to tell him no, don't get too attached. I love him, leave him, and I never call him back. My mama tells me that I'm too much like my dad. I'm about my paper, run it up, I chase my bag. Don't get too attached. I love him, leave him, and I never call him back. My mama tells me that I'm too much like my dad. I'm about my paper, run it up, I chase my bag. Only down to chase a bag. You be looking down, bow wow, I'm the best you never had. My present's a present, and now you living in the past. You know I'm coming for my money, that's not a hard concept to grasp. Get a grip and holler back. I told you you were special, but I'm sorry I lied. Got all your texts, ain't had time to reply. On airplane mode while I travel the sky. On do not disturb when you bang on my line. Please give me space, I need room to breathe. Say you wanna talk, but my time ain't cheap. I got a very long list of shit to do. Awaiting a reply. You gon' be waiting for a while, 'cause I'm still waiting for my nails to dry. Trip over a guy who not I, that's really not my style. I'm too fly, I tried to tell him no, don't get too attached. I love him, leave him, and I never call him back. My mama tells me that I'm too much like my dad. I'm about my paper, run it up, I chase my bag. Don't get too attached. I love him, leave him, and I never call him back. My mama tells me that I'm too much like my dad. I'm about my paper, run it up, I chase my bag. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Thank you. That was Love 'Em, Leave 'Em featuring Carrie Foe. This next song is called Mercury Retrograde. We've been beefing all evening. I'll probably end up leaving, but Mercury's in retrograde, so maybe we gon' be okay. I'm feeling, believing. The problem is the season been good all of the other days, so maybe we just need some space. Why my mouth so smart? I don't wanna break it, but I'm not gentle with your heart. Why you gotta start? You know that I hate it when you pull that card. All evening I'll probably end up leaving, but Mercury's in retrograde.
retrograde, so maybe we gon' be okay. I'm feeling, believing. The problem is the season been good all of the other days, so maybe we just need some space.
Thank you. That was Mercury Retrograde.
In 2017, the comedy improv group Filipino AF debuted in Los Angeles to speak to the humor, lives, and culture of the unrepresented Filipino community. The show was actually a spin-off of the already existing Asian AF that is uplifting the comedic voices of Filipino comedians, actors, and entertainers. Joy Reguliano, Eric Reinhardt Tamola, and Alan Pintal founded Filipino AF because they experienced the negative impact of underrepresentation and used that frustration to create a platform for themselves. Here's just a bit of the Filipino AF experience.
Now, as you know, this is a potluck, pot blessing. Pot blessing. Only blessings. Make sure you try the lumpia I brought, okay? I made this by hand.
Oh,
It's the best lumpia in the world.
Joy, you have to try your tita's lumpia. She has the best lumpia in the world.
For our next visual artist, he uses his work in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter activists. Check out Ernesto Llerena.
Hello, my name is Ernesto Llerena Montejano, and I'm an artist activist. To me, it feels good that the community that I intended this for has embraced it. You know, folks are definitely taking well to it, and it makes, definitely a good feeling. And for me, it's important that I was able to create an image that supports, Black folks in the struggle for a dignified life. Being a political artist, being conscious, most of it was influenced by hip hop and Black culture.
Ernesto Llerena is a Chicano and indigenous visual artist, inspired by hip hop, spirituality, and other artists to help fight for equality and justice.
In indigenous tradition, if you're gonna go pick up some sage, you're gonna go harvest some sage, you're gonna go harvest anything, you're supposed to bring some water and offer something back. And so that's the way that I saw being able to contribute. It was something that's gave the whole country, and including myself, so much, the culture. And now, there needs to be allyship. It's time for everyone that's taken or got an inspiration to come back and put some water down back in the sage. It felt good to be able to contribute to something that's contributed to my life so much.
On June 28th, the LA Unity Cruise traveled through the streets of Los Angeles to ride against police abuse, violence, harassment, and the racial profiling of people of color. The peaceful protest cruised through the city of Pico Rivera and parked near the steps of Los Angeles City Hall to hear testimonials from the community. Just 50 years ago, the Chicano Moratorium marched down the same boulevard in protest of these exact issues. Mexican Americans and other people of color gathered in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement to demand justice. Our next visual artist is an internationally celebrated professional photographer, director, and urban lifestyle entrepreneur. Check out Estevan Oriol.
Dad was one of my biggest influences. He's the one that gave me the camera, and he was the one that I'd seen taking pictures. Mostly back then, when people were taking pictures, for the most part, they're like either paparazzis or tourists. Even though my dad was a photographer and I had friends that were photographers that would say, hey, can you help me out? I'll give you $150 for the day. Just carry my stuff for me and write down, rolls of film, stuff like that. But I never paid attention. to photography until my dad gave me a camera myself and was like, hey man, you know, you're around hip hop all the time and that's, you know, it's pretty cool. Here's a mural of my photo. Nipsey Hussle, in case you didn't know. I feel good now that I look back on it, that I see everything that I had the opportunity to document. Back in those days, it wasn't cool to have a camera, so if I saw somebody just take out the camera and start shooting them, like I was in situations where I was in the presence of Tupac or Eazy-E, and I always thought like, the day will come where a magazine hits me up to shoot them, so I don't want to bug them right now and just let them be let them be relaxed right now, because right now they're in their element, they're talking to the homies from Cypress Hill, so I don't want to be like a paparazzi or a tourist. I'm just gonna lay back and I'll wait till I get that call from the magazine to shoot them. So there's things like that I look back on. I wish, I just would have been like, you know what? I'm here now. Let me just hit the homies up. They're cool. I'm with Cypress, so it's not like I'm some guy walking up to them going, hey, can I take your picture? It's like I was in the inner circle. I was already the tour manager of House of Pain since '92. And I was working with them from '92 to '94. Then I went to Cypress Hill from '94 to 2005. And I was already in the lowrider community because I had my lowrider in '89. And I didn't start shooting till like the early '90s, mid '90s. So I was already deep into lowriding and deep into hip hop before I started shooting. And I was shooting it from the inside. But it's been good for me, it's got opened a lot of doors for me. It's people, they don't know my name or have to know my name or whatever. They go, oh, that's the guy that does the LA Fingers. Yeah. What's up, homie? I could be confident in saying that my LA Fingers photo is the most tattooed photograph ever in the world in history. And it's a trip to see something coming from gang culture and it's like mainstream. That to where, every time the Dodgers are playing, it comes up on the big Teletron or whatever they call that thing.
We have more on the way from Ginger Root, Toto Verde, and Amindi coming up.
The arts. Lift our spirits. Celebrate our stories. Ignite passion. Heal communities. Tear down walls. Evoke joy. Let us dream. And help us see tomorrow. We believe in arts.
Ginger Root keeps the celebration going with eclectic soul singer, Amindi. Our next guest is an LA chef who serves vegan cuisine and focuses on healthy living. Check out the plant-based chef, Jocelyn Ramirez, founder of Todo Verde.
My name is Jocelyn Ramirez, and I am the chef and founder of plant-based food business Todo Verde here in Los Angeles. I started Todo Verde back in 2015 because I really started to notice much more of a lack of access to healthy food in communities of color.
Jocelyn Ramirez saw a need in her community due to the health challenges her family faced.
I grew up in Southgate in a southeast LA suburb of Los Angeles, and as I was driving across town trying to bring healthier food to my family, I really started to notice that there should be more of this available to communities of color in our very own neighborhoods. And my family was dealing with preventable issues from cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, thyroid issues. And for me, it was really thinking about enough is enough.
Inspired by the need to help her family, Jocelyn left her career in education to start Todo Verde. Her action stems from the love that she has for the communities that raised her.
What I love most about my LA is my community. I grew up in Southeast Los Angeles and have lived throughout the East Side. I'm born and raised LA. And what I really love most is seeing the resiliency of communities of color. Seeing people like my parents who migrated here from Mexico and Ecuador and came to the US for the American dream or a better opportunity, and wanted to make sure that my family, my siblings, had the best opportunities possible.
Jocelyn celebrates the significance of this 4th of July because of her family's belief in the American dream.
During a time like 4th of July, it's really important for us to reflect now more than ever on what our values are and what we're upholding during this time. And to really acknowledge the indigenous communities that have been on this land prior to colonization, prior to people coming in and saying, this is the United States of America.
We can't get enough of Amindi.
This next song is called All Right by Amorphous featuring Amindi, me.
You got the whole world in your hands when you hold me, but you do not realize. If I would have listened to what my friends told me, well then I'd be ill-advised. I wouldn't get this feeling, make me feel so high. What is it about you, make me feel so fine? And why you only hit me with that late reply? And why you only hit me when it's late at night? But whole time, I'll be there in no time. Baby, baby, tell me what you wanna do. It's alright, yeah, you know it's alright. Baby, baby, everything is up to you. I'm trying to map this out and make sense of it, but everything is out of whack. And if I had an answer that, then I'd censor it. 'Cause how you put it down like that, and every time I think about you, I get flashbacks, and I lose my train of thought. That train goes right off track, and I try to clear my mind, but you got it too fast. And I'm waiting by my phone all day on your text back. Whole time, I'll be there in no time. Baby, baby, tell me what you wanna do.
up to you. I'm trying to map this out and make sense of it, but everything is out of whack. And if I had an answer that, then I'd censor it. 'Cause how you put it down like that, how you put it down like that, how you put it down like that. Whole time, I'll be there in no time. Baby, baby, tell me what you wanna do. It's alright, yeah, you know it's alright. Baby, baby, everything is up to you. Whole time, I'll be there in no time. Baby, baby, tell me what you wanna do. It's alright, yeah, you know it's alright. Baby, baby, everything is up to you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm a Mindy. That was my set. Thank you, Grand Park. Thank you, Music Center.
Here to close us out, Ginger Root.
To myself, who will be waiting for me?
Thank you, KABC7. Thank you, Grand Park, and thank you, Music Center, for having us. We're Ginger Roots from Orange County, California. Happy 4th of July. Stand up for what you believe in, and wash your hands.
Our next artist is a gifted poet with a love for his LA community. Here's Luis Rodriguez.
I love LA. I can't forget its smells. I love to make love in LA. It's a great city, a city without a handle, the world's most mixed metropolis of intolerance and divisions. How I love it, how I hate it. Zoot riots, can't stay away, city of hungers, city of angers, Ruben Salazar, Rodney King. I like to kick its face in. Bone City, dried blood on walls, wildfires, taunting dove whales, car fumes and oil derricks, water thievery, with every industry possible and still a one industry town, lined by those majestic palm trees and like its people, with solid roots, supple trunks, resilient.
From all of us at Grand Park and the Music Center, thank you for watching the 4th of July Block Party, Home Edition. Happy 4th of July. Thank you to the artists and Angelinos who inspire, empower, and energize the community to make LA better.